Good morning, everyone. Welcome this morning to Spruce Creek Presbyterian Church. My name is Jeff Birch, and I'm the pastor here at Spruce Creek, and it's my privilege to be able to welcome you to worship this morning, where we are thrilled that you've chosen, whether it's in person or through Facebook or YouTube, to join with us in worship. And before we enter into worship, I just want to give us one quick thought, in a sense, to kind of prepare our hearts as we come into the very presence of the Lord, to engage with Him, to hear from Him, and to respond, giving Him what He is worth. One of the things we learn from God's Word is that God has a particular way of relating to us, and that way is through His covenant. That He relates to us in covenant love and in covenant faithfulness. And covenant is really, it's so much deeper than a contract. It's not a business proposition. Covenant is the fact that God has initiated and administrates this relational bond, that He actually bonds Himself to us. And He relates to us in this way. And one of the aspects of the covenant, it's given, actually, I'm going to just speak from one verse here real briefly this morning, and I want us to think about this. And the implication of it is then, how do we enter into worship? Leviticus chapter 26. That's right, I'm quoting from Leviticus this morning. See, one way or another, I'll get you into the Old Testament. Leviticus chapter 26, verse 12 is a tremendous promise of the implications of God's covenant. Verse 11, God says, I will make my dwelling among you, and my soul shall not abhor you. And I will walk among you, and will be your God, and you shall be my people. I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, that you should not be their slaves. Obviously, in the original context, he's speaking this to the nation of Israel. The original, call it the church, the people of God of the Old Testament. The gospel paradigm was the Exodus, where He delivered them from Egypt, brought them out of slavery, brought them into freedom. And one of the ways that God manifested Himself is that, if you remember the end of the book of Exodus, He revealed Himself and He dwelt among them in His tabernacle. It traveled with them in the wilderness. And so the tabernacle was the place where He says, I will make my dwelling amongst you. And this is fulfilled in the New Testament through Jesus Christ and His ministry, where Jesus says in John chapter 1, I will tabernacle. The Word became flesh and made His dwelling, tabernacled among them. So here's the fulfillment in the New Testament. What is Jesus fulfilling? He's fulfilling this covenant where He says, I will walk among them and will be your God, and you shall be my people. So friends, I just want to give you this thought as you enter into worship. God Himself, in the power of the Spirit, this is part of what it means to worship in spirit and in truth, actually walks amongst us. His presence He's not far off. Worship is the place where I truly believe we're getting a taste of heaven, and heaven and earth meet, because we are the dwelling place of God, where God has chosen for His eyes and His heart to be with us forever. What does that mean for worship? That means we are truly bringing our entire selves before Him, and we are engaging with Him. He is confronting us, engaging with us through His Word, and then our entire being, our minds, our bodies, our emotions, our desires, our likes, our loves, our affections, our wills, every ounce of us is to engage with Him. And so, friends, prepare to hear from the Lord in His Word and to respond. His Word demands a response, and to not respond is to respond. How does the Lord want to change you this morning? Thank you for joining us in worship.